Greetings from Wisdom Words, a peaceful place to pause and reflect. One story at a time, we examine timeless teachings about life, serenity, and purpose here. So, pause, inhale, and let's get started. Comprehending the most isolated hearts. Loneliness has a certain silent power. Others don't always understand this kind of loneliness. People assume that someone who appears quiet, reserved, or aloof is cold, uncaring, or even unapproachable. The reality, however, is frequently the complete reverse. People who have experienced grief, loss, and extreme loneliness tend to have the most compassionate and understanding hearts you will ever encounter. Why? This is because they understand the significance of connection, having personally experienced the weight of emptiness. You know how important gentleness is. You are aware of the profound impact that even modest deeds of compassion may have. The relationship between kindness and loneliness. Being alone fosters empathy. It instills patience. It shows you that everyone is engaged in struggles you might not witness. People who have experienced adversity, heartache, or abandonment frequently develop a quiet compassion. They are aware of the price of harsh remarks. They understand the weight of judgment. As a result, they navigate the world with caution, consideration, and a kindness that even they are surprised by. It seems as though their hearts, which had previously been delicate, have learned to become softer, not in spite of, but as a result of, suffering. A tale of a silent soul. Claire was a woman I used to know. Claire had felt invisible as a child, frequently disregarded by friends and family. She observed the world in solitude for a large portion of her life. Then, however, a noteworthy event occurred. She became aware of those who struggled around her because she was lonely herself. She provided modest gestures of kindness, such as a note to a friend, a smile to a complete stranger, or a silent word of support. Those she kindly treated described her as possessing a magical way of making people feel noticed. In actuality, Claire's loneliness was the source of her magic. Her heart had experienced what it was like to be invisible, and she would not allow others to experience the same emotions. Why we are shaped by loneliness. Perspective comes from loneliness. It enables us to comprehend how brittle human emotion is. It imparts resilience, patience, and the value of small gestures. Life doesn't toughen the most solitary hearts, instead, it refines them. They return love, compassion, and warmth to the world like silver refined by fire. Consider a kind, calm, or restrained person you know. That individual has probably experienced their own darkness. They are therefore pleased to share their light in a discreet and undemanding manner. A tale of pain-inspired compassion. A man by the name of Daniel had been rejected and betrayed for years. He experienced the pain of unrequited love and lost friendship. He lived in silence for years because he was afraid to show his emotions. A co-worker then had a difficult morning one day. Daniel offered them coffee without giving it much thought and just listened to their concerns. His generosity astounded his co-worker, but it came naturally to Daniel. He had learned the value of a tiny act of kindness from his loneliness. Because they recognize the importance of being seen and heard, those who have the least to offer themselves are sometimes the ones who give the most to others. Introspective questions. Think about this for a moment. What hardships might they have faced to cultivate their compassion, and who do I know who is quietly kind? How has my personal loneliness influenced the way I relate to other people? How can I see and value the unspoken kindness in others around me? Knowing oneself is the goal of reflection, not merely knowing others. The gentle strength found in the most generous hearts is profound. Loneliness breeds kindness, which is quiet. It doesn't require acknowledgement. It manifests itself in seemingly insignificant actions, such as a kind word, a kind act, or a listening ear. These individuals, often overlooked, have a subtle impact. They serve as a reminder that empathy, understanding, and presence are more important for bonding than large gestures. A carry-along takeaway. The most compassionate souls are the most lonely. And know this, your experiences can make you a source of profound compassion if you've ever felt alone, misunderstood, or invisible. Because of its familiar emptiness, your heart can give in ways that others cannot. And that is a gift to yourself as well as to everyone around you. We'll look at why people who have experienced extreme loneliness tend to connect with others more deeply in the upcoming chapter, as well as how this quiet empathy can change communities and relationships. The fortitude of the most lonesome hearts. Many people view loneliness as a weakness. Individuals who spend time alone are perceived as forlorn, frail, or delicate. In actuality, however, loneliness frequently fosters a silent, unwavering strength. People who have experienced rejection, heartbreak, or loneliness grow resilient. They gain the ability to live their lives without continual affirmation, to be steadfast in their convictions, and to approach people with exceptional sensitivity. Being alone isn't the only aspect of loneliness. Despite the world's lack of reciprocity, loneliness teaches us to persevere, grow, and maintain kindness. Why depth is created by loneliness. Spending time alone makes you aware of nuances that others might miss. The silent suffering concealed behind a grin. The weariness that underlies a boisterous chuckle. People's actions are influenced by unseen conflicts. This awareness fosters understanding. And compassion follows understanding. Lonely hearts develop into astute observers. They pay more attention. They make fewer judgments. By doing this, they create relationships that are genuine, meaningful, and based on empathy. An account of silent power. Thomas was a man I once met. Thomas had been raised in a tumultuous home. Early on, he discovered that the world might be cruel, erratic, and alienating. Thomas made an alternative decision rather than being resentful. He developed empathy, self-awareness, and patience. Both friends and complete strangers could confide in him without fear of judgment. A co-worker was dealing with a personal loss one day. Thomas made no attempt to fix the problem or offer guidance. All he did was listen, give space, and provide silent support. That seemingly insignificant gesture had a tremendous effect. Thomas had learned the value of a caring presence from his own experience of loneliness. The inconspicuous strength of emotional intelligence. Emotional literacy, or the capacity to identify, comprehend, and react to emotions in oneself and others, is a skill that loneliness imparts. It's not a skill that can be picked up in a crowd or when distracted. It is acquired during silent times of introspection when you face your emotions and weaknesses. Those with the most lonely hearts frequently recognize pain in others even when they don't express it verbally. Provide assistance with no demands. Show empathy for suffering instead of passing judgment. These hearts are quietly remarkable in a world where many people behave selfishly. A tale of empathy originating in seclusion. A woman named Emily took care of her ailing parent by herself for years. It left her feeling alone, worn out, and uncertain. She gained much patience and compassion as a result of that loneliness. Later, Emily had an innate ability to console her friends when they were going through difficult times, such as losing their jobs or having marital problems. Her actions, words, and presence were kind, thoughtful, and incredibly restorative. Emily genuinely expressed her generosity without any pretense. It had nothing to do with praise or compensation. It began with a heart that had experienced its hardships and truly learned to care. The connection between kindness and loneliness. What others tend to forget is the importance of connection, which loneliness teaches. You realize the weight of human experience after you have experienced heartbreak. You know that even the smallest actions, like smiling, saying something nice, or just being there, may have a big impact. The most lonely people don't do things because they have to. They behave in a way that makes sense. This behavior is not consistent with my memories. This is out of appreciation for the times they have longed to connect with themselves. Introspective questions. Think about this for a moment. How has my personal loneliness affected how I interact with other people? Is there somebody nearby who, despite their hardships, is quietly nice and strong? What can I take away from people who show empathy without looking for praise? By posing these queries, we can uncover our own and other people's hidden strengths. A carry-along takeaway. Being alone is a teacher, not a weakness. It increases emotional depth, patience, and resilience. Additionally, it frequently results in the most compassionate and understanding hearts among us. Through their deeds of generosity, those who have experienced the most intense loneliness frequently radiate the brightest. They serve as a reminder that strength can occasionally be quiet, persistent, and patient rather than constantly being loud or obvious. We'll look at how the most compassionate people affect the world in the upcoming chapter and why their empathy causes effects that go far beyond their immediate surroundings. The kindest heart's ripple effect. It is rare to witness kindness in a dramatic manner. It doesn't always garner media attention. It isn't always acknowledged. However, the most isolated hearts, those who have endured intense loneliness and silent suffering, frequently possess the greatest potential to make a subtle, long-lasting difference. They are not ostentatious or theatrical in their kindness. It is deliberate, and steady. And it softly reverberates, influencing lives in ways that people could never fully perceive. Exploring why people are deeply affected by loneliness. Those who have experienced loneliness become sensitive to the unsaid. They pick up on emotions, mannerisms, and gestures that others miss. They comprehend the power of a good word to change a day. They understand the healing power of profound listening. It is crucial to prioritize presence over solutions. They act as a result of their understanding of this, frequently without expecting praise or seeking compensation. Their influence is so great because of this. The most compassionate people frequently make subtle, indirect, and long-lasting changes in others' lives. An account of silent influence. Alex was a man I once met. Alex had grown up feeling estranged from his family, moving from city to city and never feeling at home. He gained empathy, compassion, and a keen sense of human nature during those years of seclusion. He was a teacher in his adult life. He always paid attention to his students, even in the absence of ostentatious techniques or spectacular success stories. He identified the timid ones, the ones who suffered in quiet, and he made modest gestures of support, a kind grin, or a word of comfort. Many of his previous students contacted him years later. They talked about how their lives had been transformed by those insignificant actions. Although Alex was unaware of the full scope of his influence, it was there, subtly influencing lives. How empathy is taught by loneliness. A person can dwell on their suffering when they are lonely. It teaches emotional depth and introspection. It also imparts knowledge. People who have experienced neglect, rejection, or grief are inevitably able to identify it in others. They discover that empathy is active presence, support, and caring rather than merely compassion. This empathy turns into a tool for transformation, healing, and connection. Additionally, it feels genuine because it stems from experience rather than duty. A tale of ordinary generosity. A woman named Julia was present. Family, friends, and co-workers had ignored Julia for years, leaving her feeling invisible. However, she purposefully continued to be invisible. She gently offered assistance when she saw someone struggling, whether it be in the form of a caring gesture, a supportive message, or a listening ear. One day, a co-worker who had been experiencing anxiety said that, for the first time in years, they felt noticed by Julia's small gestures of kindness. The world didn't get much noisier because of Julia's goodwill. It just brightened someone's day. The intricacy of genuine compassion. Often, genuine kindness doesn't make an announcement. It doesn't require a claim. It does not anticipate payment. Because they know the burden of being invisible, the most lonely souls are the ones that offer generously. They donate because they understand the impact that even seemingly insignificant actions may have. They also cause reverberations that go well beyond their measurement capabilities. Introspective questions. Consider this for a moment. Who in your life demonstrates modest, quiet kindness? How has someone's empathy, rooted in their personal hardships, impacted you? Using your personal experiences of loneliness as inspiration, what tiny act of kindness could you perform today? Reflection serves as a reminder that deliberate, little actions have just as much of an impact on the world as large ones. An important point. The most lonely hearts emit the kinder light. They learn to identify suffering in others as a result of their encounters with loneliness, misery, and isolation. Additionally, their silent empathy has a profound impact on lives in both obvious and invisible ways. Loneliness breeds kindness that is persistent, patient, and incredibly transforming. It serves as a subtle reminder that the greatest effect can come from even the quietest hearts. We'll look at ways to cultivate your kindness through solitude in the upcoming chapter, as well as how accepting your quiet, introspective moments may help you become the kind person you were destined to be. Developing your generosity through seclusion. Many people view loneliness as a hardship. Loneliness is often perceived as a state of emptiness, a place to be occupied by noise, avoidance, or diversions. However, when accepted, solitude may be a potent teacher. The purest hearts are cultivated and developed in these silent, unseen times. Here, inner compassion develops, patience grows stronger, and empathy grows deeper. Being cut off from the outside world is not what solitude is all about. To connect with others more profoundly, you must first establish a deeper connection with yourself. Why kindness is enhanced by reflection. You start to see trends in your thoughts, emotions, and behavior when you spend time by yourself. You think back on your past encounters, errors, and difficulties. Reflection teaches you what makes you irritable or impatient. Your reactions to other people are shaped by your past pain. It is important to prioritize listening over talking. The interior lives of the most lonely people are frequently the most abundant. Their solitude fosters patience, kindness, and generosity of spirit, much like soil. A tale of personal development in isolation. Marcus was a man I used to know. Marcus has always been a solitary, quiet person. During his early years, he frequently felt alone, but he eventually learned to take time for introspection and self-awareness. As an adult, Marcus became someone that people went to for consolation and guidance. He listened, he watched, and he answered with love before immediately offering ideas. Marcus once said that being alone had taught him how to hold space for other people, to be there without passing judgment, and to provide support without expecting credit. His benevolence sprang out of his loneliness. The function of compassion for oneself. Self-compassion is among the most significant lessons that solitude imparts. Being alone may be cruel. We relive our mistakes, doubt our value, and feel invisible. However, we can treat others with the same compassion after we learn to treat ourselves with kindness. Being self-compassionate enables us to. We can forgive ourselves for past transgressions. Acknowledge our requirements and constraints. Instead of expecting anything from people, treat them with understanding and tolerance. Given that self-awareness serves as the foundation for genuine kindness, it is often the case that those with the most loneliness also possess the most self-awareness. An account of transformative introspection. An individual by the name of Isabella had gone through a string of setbacks in her private life. She felt misinterpreted and alone. Isabella started journaling, meditating, and thinking back on her experiences rather than diverting herself. She developed empathy for herself and learned to process her pain during these times of seclusion. Her relations changed as she got back in touch with her loved ones. She replied patiently and understandingly, listened more, and made fewer judgments. As a result of her loneliness, she had become gentler instead of bitter. Easy ways to develop kindness while alone. To reap the benefits of introspective solitude, years of seclusion are not necessary. You may cultivate your heart with even modest, deliberate actions. 1. Daily reflection. Write in your journal or reflect on your interactions and experiences for 10 to 15 minutes every day. 2. A mindful observation. Without passing judgment, take note of the feelings and difficulties of those around you. 3. Self-care. Treat yourself with the same consideration that you would offer to a good friend. 4. Little deeds of kindness. Consider how you can be kind to people, even in small ways. These exercises strengthen your ability to connect and develop empathy. Introspective questions. Consider this for a moment. How does my personal loneliness affect how I relate to other people? How can I develop my kindness and empathy during quiet times? Based on introspection, what modest, considerate deeds of kindness may I perform today? The link between isolation and connection, between loneliness and compassion, is reflection. An important point. Emptiness is not solitude. The most lonely hearts blossom into the most compassionate souls in this rich terrain. Your empathy increases as you practice mindfulness, self-compassion, and introspection. Your acts of compassion become deliberate, significant, and life-changing. Because they have learned to cultivate compassion from inside, the quietest hearts frequently have the brightest lights. We'll look at how the most generous people continue to be generous in a difficult world in the upcoming chapter, and why remaining loyal to your gentle nature is a strength rather than a weakness. Continuing to be kind in a difficult world. The world isn't always kind. It can occasionally be harsh, irritable, and critical. Being kind in such a setting can be draining for even the loneliest hearts. However, their compassion takes on greater significance during these times. Being kind is not a sign of weakness. Strength is what it is. It is bravery in the face of apathy. Additionally, it is a silent gesture of defiance against life's harshness. Why it's hard to be kind. The question, why do good people get hurt, is frequently asked. It's true that having a generous spirit might lead to disappointment. Giving without expecting anything in return could lead to dismissal, a misunderstanding, a lack of interest. However, even the most isolated individuals understand that generosity is not a form of reward. It has to do with presence. It has to do with honesty. It is about deciding how to react compassionately in any situation. An account of brave generosity. Leo was a man I used to know. Leo had endured betrayal and loneliness for years. He was nonetheless sympathetic in spite of this. One day at work, a coworker became irate and slapped him. Leo listened, rather than reacting with rage or bitterness. He responded patiently and with understanding. The coworker later revealed that Leo's gentle and composed demeanor had assisted them in identifying their difficulties and taking action to become better. Leo's generosity wasn't naive. It was purposeful, experience-based, and based on the knowledge that patiently responding causes change to spread. How to keep your healthy heart safe. Setting limits is necessary to remain courteous in a difficult world. It takes judgment. Self-respect is necessary for it. Here are a few strategies to guard your compassionate heart. 1. Recognize your limits. Being kind does not require exceeding expectations. 2. Decide when to interact. You don't have to answer every criticism. 3. Be in the company of people who support you. The community helps you regain and strengthen your compassion. 4. Engage in self-reflection on a regular basis to reaffirm your aims and ideals. Intentional, balanced, and thoughtful kindness flourishes. An account of persistent empathy. A woman by the name of Naomi was present. Throughout her adolescence, she had experienced loneliness. By the time she was an adult, she had a natural capacity for generosity and empathy. She frequently assisted co-workers at work without asking for anything in return. Some people exploited her kindness. Others dismissed her attempts. But Naomi pressed on. She told herself that she wasn't being nice to get attention. It was a testament to her personality and the empathy she had grown through her isolation. Her perseverance and tolerance eventually motivated others, fostering an environment of empathy and respect in her wake. The power of kind hearts. In a society that encourages rivalry and hostility, gentleness is frequently underappreciated. However, even the most isolated hearts recognize that empathy, patience, and tenderness are the fundamental elements of true strength. Their generosity reduces stress, encourages trust, establishes deep connections, encourages people to behave compassionately. Being kind is not a weakness, rather, it is a silent force that changes societies and relationships. Introspective questions. Give this some thought. How can I remain compassionate even when it seems like the world is cruel? To maintain my emotional vitality, where would I need to establish boundaries? What modest deeds of kindness can I perform consistently today without anticipating anything in return? Reflection facilitates the maintenance of an open, resilient, and balanced heart. One last thing to remember. Because they cherish connection, are aware of grief, and consciously choose compassion, the loneliest hearts are also the nicest. In a difficult world, kindness demands bravery, endurance, and self-awareness. It is a gift to yourself as well as to others. It serves as a reminder that, despite its tenderness, your heart has the capacity to influence people's lives and motivate change. Remaining kind, understanding, and patient causes love to spread far beyond your immediate surroundings. Final thoughts. Breathe deeply and visualize bringing your kindness to every encounter, regardless of how difficult life may seem. Experience the silent power of your heart, the bravery of your gentleness, and the strength of your empathy. You are among the world's most compassionate, resilient, and influential souls because you have one of the loneliest hearts. We appreciate you taking the time to think with wisdom words. Share this message with someone who might benefit from it if it struck a chord with you. Remember that love, patience, and bravery may radiate from your heart even when you're alone. Take care of your heart, be in the moment, and let your empathy spread throughout the world until the next time.